Soaring victories.
This is super important against Mountain Giant, like Evenlock. But I've been seeing mostly Control Warlock. Still, just in case. It's decent against Zoo, and it's really, really critical against Mountain Giant.
We have turned our curse into our strength.
What is 3 attack and Evenlock? Acidic Swamp Ooze? Not sure what I want off this, but I'm not sure I'll have time to play it later. Problem with Psychic Scream is he just plays more stuff. I need to be like ahead on board. I'm just gonna re-roll it. Psychic Scream's for matchups where they don't have such insane reload. Mass Dispel or Visions? Probably just keep looking on Visions. Here's El Gigante. I'll shrink him and hope there's no spell break. Sometimes Combo Mage plays it slow these days.
Look! Look!
Alright, he can pressure me with Mountain Giant and stuff. Like, if you hem it on 6, you AoE with Psychic Scream twice and Alkanite once. Like, you hem it on 6 and you have turns 7, 8, and 9, and then you win on 10, right? So 7, 8, and 9 are 2 Scream turns and an Alkanite Circle turn. Easy. That was a quick one. Sub didn't pop up? Well, click the announce to chat button.
Malfurion versus Malfurion.
I must protect the wild. Nature must be preserved.
What do I predict the meta will become? I don't know, probably a lot of druids. Druids seem sweet. This guy's a giggle. Well, two of us can play the embarrassing Arcane Tyrant plan.
Engaging TC1.
Dun, dun, dun. You're welcome. You're less welcome. I guess I should expect MC Tech in these druids now. You're 9, I Alex him in the face. Wait, it didn't work.
Is not.
Naturalizing that Alex Strauss is some feels Batman stuff right there. play a minion, I can wait and kind of try and bait him into giving me more stuff off the Smally Swipe Double Moonfire. Currently it's 21 damage, shred his armor, clear his board. 24 with the hero power.
Death is eternal. My turn is not. My thoughts are plagued.
Kinda hoping he plays more stuff here. Maybe branching attack, just any dude. Good. Spell swings and naturalizes it. It's gonna have to like swipe this goose. Do I smork him or gain armor? Looks like it's harder for him to do stuff if I smork him. Even though ultimately I am planning to make him to fatigue rather than actually kill him. He has a Malagos, a Lich King. I might draw this Naturalize, that would be a good one. He's a Swipe and a Moonfire still. I don't want to play minions and get them swiped here. I'd like to draw the Naturalize. I want to draw it bad enough to nourish for cards. Yeah. I can afford the nourish for cards and still fatigue him pretty easily, right? 7-1, but there's actually 2 more difference in my favor because I'm up on Naturalize. There it is.
Death is eternal. My turn is not.
To be able to deal with his Lich King somehow is the problem.
I'm out of cards.
See it.
You win. I can rest now.
Easy.
Malfurion versus Malfurion.
I must protect the wild. Nature must be preserved.
Alright, same dude again. Maybe I keep the Lich King and just nourish into it. Seems good. Lich King is kind of a obnoxious pain in the butt for Druid to deal with. It'll typically force a Naturalize, and then that gives me cards without having to, like, work for it. And also having Lich King cards early is really nice because it lets you plan for, like, if you get the +2/+2, you can Spreading Plague with it or whatever.
For the wild.
Rest of my hand's yuck.
Engaging TC-130 into dislocator.
Oh my god, am I gonna Spellstone that? I am.
For the wild.
Feels stupid, dude, man. Oh, that's such a sick one. Anti-Magic Shell with Spreading Plague or Giggling Annoyatron. Or like if I get a Twig off, I could Malagos and Anti-Magic Shell to protect it from a Naturalize. Forcing out Naturalizes is so good. There's more dudes than he has Naturalizes, you know? It's also just free card draw. I guess that means he's dealing with this Arcane Tyrant, because he doesn't want the Tyrant punching his armor. He wants the Tyrant punching his face, so my Alexstrasza does less damage. But when it's punching his armor, it's doing legitimate damage. Oh, he's going for the YOLO burn 2 cards, hope it's the right one strategy. And Spellstone, that's one whip. That's his second empty tech, I don't have to play around those at all anymore.
My hand is too full.
Giggling Inventor, nice, we're in the clear. He has no more Naturalizes. Now if I play something like a Malagos, he has to, what, double Spellstone for 6? Is his best hope? Anti-magic Shelvis Lich King. That's a pretty good suggestion. Alright, well this looks... It's like a tempting naturalize. Maybe I should play it safer though. I go for YOLO burn strategies when I can just save naturalize for this good stuff. Ooh, a Goosey. If I play that, and he kills it, then I can floop it.
What to do?
Malagos with like stuff on board and maybe one spellstone or a swipe or whatever. And the anti-magic swelling with Floop just didn't feel that powerful. but I need to be careful to use enough stuff that I can actually win the game. XD. Stupid noob.
turn is not.
There's something you're missing. Yeah, this game's comedy of errors. I mean, it's really just the one mistake that led to lots of awkward movements. Alright. You know what? You got me. Yeah, that's a card. Those things. I'll think about using these spell stones before his Skulking Guy's turn. About to make a void day, why not? Alright, let's see. Anonymous said, been working on a tree and token druid. I was wondering if you could give any input on the deck list. Let me check that out real quick. I got your Doomsayer. No, I don't. Ooh, the Godfrey he might care about that. it gave me burn damage. Stupid noob. Yeah, this deck's easy. Who needs Goose? Just punch him.
I wonder. What to do?
Did I win yet? Uh-oh. It's weak to Demonic Project. Maybe I should keep this Tyrant in hand to try and get him to project that. Maybe I just not care about the Goose. You know what? I don't think I need to punch that pink-haired lady anymore.
For the wild.
I think I'll punch this dude in the purple hood. Do like that. You can nourish for cards, move away from the UI plan. I think this turn I want to ramp rather than Malfurion, right?
For the wild.
That's what we're looking for. I want to just a minion, because I figure since he's putting a taunt in the way this turn, he's feeling pretty safe about his life, about the board or whatever, so he's thinking this is a good turn to Demonic Project. And if he wants to start playing Demonic Project, I want to have minions in hands where I may need the Goose, right? That to go too far, so I guess good chance he doesn't have Demonic Project in hand. Taunt better? Probably Poison looks more annoying for him.
The circle of life is over.
He had to defile a lot of his own stuff there. Those are some good little beetles. Didn't need the Spellstone. Didn't need the branching paths either. This minion pressure, I'm not really expecting to do anything, so rather than play the Tyrant for more minion pressure, that was a good burn. Rather than play the Tyrant for more minion pressure, I just save it to try and protect my goose from demonic projects.
If Hong Kong do if they keep using their face to take some of this damage, they'll be naturally chunking themselves down and making themselves vulnerable to that Mind Blast plan that is going to be eventually coming through from Sweden. But there isn't really another option here for Shy.
No, I'm trying to work it out, and there just isn't. He's found another option anyway, though. He's going to try and keep this hench can alive. It does get the slight buff, so at least it's not dead on board.
And it seems like an underwhelming turn, but the Redagger is extremely important for the Odd Rogue. That extra 2 damage every turn is going to be really nice.
You know what else is really nice?
I'm going to guess something with pink hair, slightly purple, mouth open, eyes white.
Did you say pink hair? Is that how you started that?
Yes, that is pink hair. Shadow Reaper Anduin.
Oh!
Unless you're looking at something else.
I was looking at Duskbreaker.
Right, okay.
Because then you said slightly purple mouth, and it's like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, Duskbreaker does have a slightly purple mouth.
I thought Shadow Reaper Anduin was also a pretty nice draw here, because it does play into the same plan of Mind Blast will eventually just kill my opponent.
Should we just agree that both Shadow Reaper Anduin and Duskbreakers are pretty nice?
I'd say all cards here that have any sort of purple pinkish tint are quite nice.
What's wrong with Primordial Drake?
It's a bit boring, isn't it? A bit plain.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Primordial Drake was the card for quite some time, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
But now it's really fallen out of favour. I mean, and to be honest, to be quite frank, I feel like this Control Priest deck is aged. It's ancient. We need something new. It's kind of just been shoveled over from the Witchwood meta and just plopped into the HGG meta because people are like, well, we have to bring Priest.
What I would like to see is a Priest deck that's focused around summoning a lot of Stone Tusk Boars and raising their health up to something like 64, 128, then playing another card to flip the attack and health.
Doesn't ring a bell.
And then multiply the boars and hit several times.
I feel like you purposely remind me of this every time just because we had a show match and you managed to pull off the combo and I didn't.
I wasn't even going to bring that up, Dan.
Yeah,
but as you did,
I
yes.
can see it in your eyes.
We did it on mobile. It's an important fact.
You can see Shy is just having to take this damage every turn to his face. And Sweden will just be happy about that, I think. But they don't want to get ahead of themselves. Even though the final plan is certainly within touching distance, they need to be very careful that they don't just allow Hong Kong to burst through, because the burst damage available for Odd Rogue is extremely scary. Yes, 1 Cold Blood has been used, so you've only got to worry about Leroy plus 1 Cold Blood, but that's still 10 coming out of hand.
This game is definitely looking worse and worse for Shy, though, as it goes on. Because, yeah, I mean, Arcade has to think about the burst damage, but as Shy's hand gets smaller and smaller, there's much less of a threat. Are they even running Myra's Unstable? Yeah, they are running Myra's Unstable Element. Okay, so that's something. There is a backup plan when they run out of cards.
But the important factor here is, how do they deal with this board? Well, the answer is they can't actually deal with this board. Instead, they're just going to have to heal up and put some stuff down to try and combat it over the next few turns.
Firefly is not the draw.
Well, you say it's not the draw, Dan.
Combos into Valspine Slayer.
Yeah.
But something I should have brought up a couple turns ago is that one of the reasons I didn't love the play before, instead of the Void Ripper, the Firefly Flame Elemental Hench Clan Dagger in play, was because it gave up all of the 1-drops and prevented anything to combo into Valspine Slayer. So I guess, yeah, Hong Kong are pretty lucky they've managed to now redraw it into a 1-drop that can combo into it.
You are going into your opponent's turn 7, though. So that is a Psychic Scream turn, so you are committing heavily into this board if you are going to go Firefly into Valspine. I mean, the Giggling Inventor naturally trades into the 3-2. That's pretty comfortable. It's what you do, therefore, after.
Well, it depends, doesn't it? Like, if they expect there to be a Psychic Scream played next turn, then I think everything just goes face.
Yeah, it's a weird one, right? It's a weird dance, because if you play a lot of minions, you expect a Psychic Scream, but if you hold back your minions, then you're not expecting a Psychic Scream.
Alright. A dance with these dragons.
But Void Ripper is a nice little middle ground. It pushes this damage with the Annoyatrons, damage you typically wouldn't be able to find, and also baits out a potential Psychic Scream. But there is no Psychic Scream, Falcone.
Void Ripper just impresses me every single time I see it played in a game like this.
Do you know why?
Why?
Purple card.
Is there something I'm missing here? Like, is that genuinely the secret to Hearthstone? Just
Yes.
purple cards are best cards?
Yes, it is, Falcone.
Okay. I'm going to go rebuild some decks.
Shadow Form. Great card. But, I mean, can we address the fact that Sweden are really struggling now at this point? They have no removal. Are they having to use a Cleric just to draw? Are they that much backs against the wall? Because naturally, I'm looking at Holy Fire. Holy Fire off one of these 3/3s, you heal yourself up to 17.
I'm just really trying to spot the purple in Giggling Inventor.
Right there, her right hand, I believe.
The little drill she's got.
Yep.
Okay, great. Sorry, yes, the game. Sweden are in trouble, for sure. 17 health, and as you said, the damage is starting to stack up. That's Leroy Jenkins drawn off the top there. That's 12 damage, 13, 14 damage with the weapon, 3 off lethal. Coldblood would have done it here. No, it wouldn't, because there would have not been the mana to play the weapon on the Coldblood.
And even though the dagger into killing off a 6/2 looks nice, again, that is taking a lot of damage for Shy. But he hasn't seen any Shadow Vision, so he knows there's not going to be 3 Mind Blast in the hand. So maybe you are comfortable taking that 6 and setting yourself up for lethal next turn.
Yep.
Shadow Reaper Anduin will allow healing back up to 16, which would just be enough to keep them alive. Unless you play a double Firefly. If you play double Firefly here as Shy, you can bash through all of that 16. Do it. You probably keep back 1 is the problem. Yeah. You have to for Valspine.
Yeah, I mean, keeping back more cards is also better for a Psychic Scream drawn off the top, though it would have to be drawn off the top, as if Sweden had a Psychic Scream already, they would have played a Psychic Scream already.
But this Primordial Drake, it works out for Sweden, certainly from their end. We can see that there is a Valspine.
It's real nice this turn, though. Dealing with everything except the Void Ripper. Then after Valspine, only the Void Ripper and the weapon push face to it. It does buy Arcade some time.
The only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't heal, which is a bit of a problem. This 11 health isn't fantastic. It means that next turn for Hong Kong, if the Primordial Drake does come down, they can Vile Spine off the Primordial Drake, they can push another 5, take their opponent down to 6, and then they have Leroy Jenkins just waiting in the wings for his moment. He does often have his moment.
Must be one of the highest percentage played win rates in Hearthstone, given that it's only ever really played when they have lethal.
It's the sad times when you don't have lethal with Leroy Jenkins and you have to play him just as a removal, which I have seen quite a lot, especially with Zoo variants lately that have been running Leroy Jenkins instead of the Doom Guards.
Right. When the Zoo player wishes it was a Doom Guard.
Yep.
Wishes they'd listen to Lorinda and put Doom Guards in their Zoo decks.
I mean, generally I try and live my life not listening to Lorinda, but sometimes you do just have to.
Well, he says a lot of things.
Yeah. It's not all right.
You'd have to be very contrary to disagree with everything Lorinda ever says, because he says pretty much everything, ever.
Yeah. But this Vile Spine Slayer looks too juicy to pass up. I can't see any reason why you wouldn't play it.
Choose soon.
And so Shadow Reaper Anduin would only take you up to 11 once again.
Yeah, this is so nice, being able to push the 5 damage, and like you said, up to 11, doesn't remove anything off of the board.
And you're just dead.
Yes.
Shadow Priest
Though-
heal up doesn't save you.
They don't know they're just dead, though.
Oh, no.
They don't know there's Leroy in hand. However, the leftmost card has now been held onto for a long time. That Baku could easily be a Leroy.
It could be.
And the Leroy itself could also be a Leroy.
Yeah, you usually when you get to this point in the game as well, especially against Odd Rogue, you presume the worst. You presume that, I mean, they would only even need just a Cold Blood, I believe, to find lethal if Shadow Reaper Anduin is played. So you might need to be looking at other options. Maybe you could even go for a Power Word Shield here. To look for what? Psychic Scream. Psychic Scream keeps you alive from Cold Blood. Doesn't keep you alive from Leroy, but that's one of the two things. Divine Hymn.
Well, that does keep them alive. That puts them on 14 health. Wait, does that keep them alive? No, it doesn't keep them alive. I take it back. It looks like Hong Kong just going to take this
Let
one.
me change your mind.
Yeah, they're going to go for the Shadow Priest and the Divine Hymn, but Hong Kong know what's up. They know they've got that victory. That takes them to the 5 wins that they needed, Falcon.
Amazing. Hong Kong now guaranteed their place in the top 16. Sweden not looking too happy about that, actually. They should still be through. Make no mistake, Sweden probably still in an okay position here. But today, it's all about Hong Kong, their victory, and their better seeding in the top 16.
And I've got to give a shout out to them for taking the amount of face damage that they did.
Yeah.
They were not afraid to just disappear some of that life total of theirs. They weren't scared of Mind Blast, and they were able to find lethal because of it. A very well played game from Hong Kong there.
Well played game, well played series, as we take a look once more how it went down. There you go. Blitzchung took the first game. Orange managed to win 1 for Sweden, but unfortunately for Sweden, Hong Kong were able to win the rest of the games, not even getting to that 5th and final Hunter Mirror.
Now, Sweden will be hoping that some of those teams who are on a worse tiebreaker than them coming into this round lose their matches. I believe Belarus might be one of those teams that are on a pretty poor tiebreaker, so Sweden will probably be hoping that they find a loss just to make sure that they do get into that top 16. But you're right, they should be there. But if they were able to get a victory, they would have been there, and that's the big difference.
Big difference between should and would there.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Let's take a look at some of the best moments of the series and remind ourselves just how it happened. Wow, okay, that's lethal right there.
Well, and this was a demonstration of how quick this game was for the Token Druid and how miserable it was for Sweden.
Yeah, then we had the Malagos Druid with Orange managing to get his victory because of the Army of the Dead into the Malagos, into the swipe, which was pretty disgusting, actually.
And it was a shame for Hong Kong, because this was another very well-piloted game as well. They were able to just try and focus on their win conditions, and if there wasn't a Malagos found, I feel like this was a victory for Hong Kong.
Yeah, and again, it was just over a 1 in 4 chance to find that Malagos, so not not a guaranteed win by any means, as Orange eventually did win thanks to branching paths.
Even though his Malygos got stolen and Loosefield was so, like, cheery about it because it was such a little cute play, he wasn't able to survive. And then we had your favourite game, Dan. We had Mana Worm Stone.
Mana Wormstone. Frank and Hannah Stone.
The Paladin just struggling to keep up with the sheer amount of pressure from the Mana Worms that were drawn from the Mulligan, which then put Hong Kong in this position, an advantageous position going into game number 4, and then they found the victory to guarantee themselves into top 16.
Yep, top 16 is just such a great position. It's what everyone has been aiming for over the first 6 weeks of the Hearthstone Global Games. Things are going to kick into overdrive next week as we begin double elimination and start to narrow it down to the top 8. But for now, it's all about top 16. It's all about Hong Kong. And right now, it's all about Shai as we have a chat with him. Shai, congratulations for your win against Sweden. Guaranteed top 16 now. How are you guys feeling about that? Yeah, I had a feeling.
I agree.
I had a feeling. I'm not the best lip reader here. I had a feeling that we couldn't hear them. We'll try again in a minute, Shai, okay? Just hang tight. Hang tight.
It's always a shame. Modern day internet and we still can't get an interview.
Yeah. Sadly, that happened. It's the difficulty of trying to communicate with all of these different teams in all of these different countries all over the world. Sometimes technology stutters a little bit.
It does a little bit. It's like you see those famous sports interviews where they say, "How are you doing over there, Hank?" And Hank's there like,
Yeah,
just get
right.
absolutely nothing. And that's even more painful, I would have to say.
Okay, well, it looks like we are done for this series, but coming up, we are only halfway through the day. 3 sets down, 3 to go. Plenty more eliminations to happen here in the HGG studio.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Boom. I live to build things, bombs mostly. So come work with me.
Grow into success with no regrets when you work with Dr. Boom. Learn the best and the brightest when you work with Dr. Boom.
Come add your skills to my team at Boom Laboratories.
Dr. Boom is not responsible for severed, exploded, or lost body parts. Revealing location of semi-secret lab is punishable by death.
Apply now!
skills to my team at Boom Laboratories.
When you work with Dr. Boom.
Apply now.
Welcome back to the Hearthstone Global Games, and first things first, very quick correction on the end of the last series. Sadly, we were wrong about Sweden's score. They're now 3-3, meaning they are eliminated from the Hearthstone Global Games, and it's Hong Kong that should be through, not guaranteed through, but should be through, as they now have the 4 wins with the 2 losses. But Sweden out, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a shame for Cobain, who wanted to play them in the top 16, but
win.
just put the curse upon them so we don't get to see that Scandinavian matchup in the top 16. But Hong Kong delighted to be going through and continuing their success from the Asia Games, so on a bit of a roll right now.
Next up, though, we've got a really exciting one. These guys are in the category where they should already be through. Taiwan and the United Kingdom. Tom, 60229, HQ Shaxi, HQ Roger, and Real versus the United Kingdom. Ball Control, Green Sheep, Jackie Chan, and Toast Monster. Again, both of these teams have 4 wins already. The question is, which of these teams can get up to 5?
Yeah, everyone's looking to make that guaranteed spot right now. They should both be okay anyway, but it's a better seeding, better placing, and guaranteeing it is good. Taiwan, absolutely massively strong lineup, but the United Kingdom have been one of the better teams in terms of preparation and bringing new cards and stuff this time around.
More to the point, though, more exciting, I guess, about this matchup is it's all about caster predictions, because Taiwan is Derek and United Kingdom is Dan Gaskin.
And they've both been very lucky.
That's fair.
But who's the first person to get somebody in the top 16 is what I want to know.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out.
It was Norway. It was me.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Humble brag there.
It's the first time I've had a chance to be bottom of the list the whole time.
Let's take a look at the picks and bans for this series. First up, ban on both sides. It's the Odd Warrior again. Odd Warrior ban first seems to be a common trend nowadays.
It makes such a mess of your other lineups when you can't really bring all control. So you have to bring those aggro decks that just get destroyed by the Odd Warrior, and getting rid of it is a big deal. We are seeing Rogue survive more and more often at the moment, but it's a bit of a mishmash between Odd Rogue and Quest Rogue anyway. And I think both of the ones this time around are Odd Rogues, which makes a lot of sense.
I tell you what, though, banning Odd Warrior straight off the bat like that does speed up these series significantly.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, that's a good point.
Now let's take a look at how these matches are going to play out. I haven't seen this yet, Lorinda. I haven't had a chance to look at the deck list as I was casting the last one, so you'll have to tell me. We've got Shaxi on the Warlock and Ball Control on the Paladin.
So that is going to be Zoo versus Odd Paladin, which should be pretty rapid. Game number 1. Game number 2, Roger is going to be on the Control Priest, and Toastmonster is going to be on the Good Shaman. Then we have what is apparently a Hunter mirror match, but we all know that Boar Control has been perfecting his Subject 9 beastie, secrety new version of Hunter, so it'll be interesting to see how that gets on about Death Rattle, and then we'll worry about the other two when they get there. Going to be a pretty close match all the way along. There's no complete walkover games here, so going to be a tussle to see who can get the most stuff done in this one.
Yeah, just whizzing my eyes across the deck list as we look at that screen and as you were talking. Whizzing all over the place. But yeah, I mean, Zoo versus Pally, as you said, this is going to be quick. And I'm already looking at Control Priest versus Good Shaman, or Mid-Range Shadowwalk Shaman, whatever you'd like to call it. That's going to be an interesting game we've got coming up.
Yeah, I like watching Good Shaman play, as you know. We don't see enough of it. I'm still surprised we don't see more of it. But I think the United Kingdom have been, as I was saying a minute ago, probably the most innovative team, or the team more prepared to bring not necessarily like flashy new amazing decks, but bits and pieces of tech in their lineup. Just little bits and pieces like playing Mossy Horror in Zoo, for instance. It's not unheard of, it's been seen, but they always seem to have those up-to-date bits and pieces of tech, give themselves more options to work with.
The thing is about the Shaman that concerns me is that, so I spent pretty much the whole day Friday trying to get a good ladder finish, essentially slamming my head against the wall, not getting anywhere. But anyways, I played a lot of ladder, and I didn't queue up into any Good Shaman, except when I queued into Crane.
Who loves the deck, and has got rank 1 legend with the deck at one point.
But like, the fact that only the guy that created the deck was playing it just rings some alarm bells.
I mean, Braggy, I don't know why Braggy comes up in all my casts, but
You like to braggy about Braggy.
He played Barnes Hunter for the longest time before anybody took it up. He played it for about a year or so until it actually really mattered. And he was getting rank 1 legend, and the same argument was made, like, well, why can only one guy play this deck? Well, because it takes a while to learn a specialist deck, and Good Shaman is a specialist deck.
Yeah,
this, however, isn't the Good Shaman. This is just going to be the Zoo versus the Paladin.
Oh, this isn't a shaman? Okay.
No, it's not, Dan.
That was supposed to sound more sarcastic than that. Okay.
You don't do sarcasm. Who's been teaching you sarcasm? You've been hanging out with Sottle again.
Let's get on with this game. Shaxxi's opening hand is really interesting, and I think it highlights why mulliganing as the Zoo is very difficult nowadays. He's got Voodoo Doctor, he's got Happy Ghoul. These cards have to be worth considering the keep on.
Yeah, it seems reasonable to me, but then the rest of your hand is kind of ploppy if you don't have something to go with those. And maybe you don't want the Voodoo Doctor, maybe you want the Enchanter, but then you've got to wait till turn 3 to achieve anything, because you'd have to tap on turn 2. And so they are going to just keep the Voodoo Doctor and the Happy Ghoul, and this gives them turn 1 plays into potential tap, and everything gets better. Mech-Aru played straight away, nothing else to do here for Boar. His early hand looks pretty awful, but when those Corridor Creepers come to play, the game will change around rapidly.
Yeah. The problem is, they are going to be a few turns away. The advantage the ball control has is that he can hero power every turn. He's got the Champion's Maul, which is going to be 2 more 1/1s, and also the weapon on turn 3. So it is looking like a pretty good curve for the United Kingdom. The question is, can they keep up with Taiwan, who are going to have, once they get that Voodoo Doctor down, a very, very fast turn. It can't even be next turn, right? They can go tap, coin, Voodoo Doctor, Happy Ghoul, Happy Ghoul. That's insane.
That does seem kind of good, and again is the reason why they didn't keep the Fungal Enchanter. So they're going to go wider than the Paladin to start with. That is a massive deal. The Corridor Creeper's only having 2 attack. I mean, they should be 5/5s really, this card, but it is only a 2/5. And that's going to be also a big deal.
Yeah, why do they make Corridor Creepers so weak?
Yeah, why didn't they make it good? Already a decision for Boar whether to bump or not. If they bump, then the Maul can be used on other things next turn. And in theory, they should be able to go wider than the Zoo. Of course, the big deal when you're playing at Zoo as the Paladin is, what do you do about the Despicable Dreadlords?
We've already got classic ball control thinking mode. Look at that.
Yep.
Fingers on temples. Let's go.
I mean, he has... we talk about the UK a lot. We know the players very well, obviously, as we are from there. And they are strong players. But this Taiwan team is incredibly strong.
Has the world champion on it.
Yeah, amongst other things. I mean, their achievements between them are just insane. We're going to see all of these guys in action, I believe, at playoffs next week. As I just fumble through my notes in the most pathetic manner. We're going to see some of them anyway, for sure. The APOC playoffs, and their tour stop record is also one of the best national records there is.
Yeah. Shaxxi's hand has ended up in a really strange position here, because any minion he draws, he can play both Soul Infusions and it will hit that minion. It's meant to be the leftmost card, not the rightmost card.
Yeah, that is a bit bizarre.
The Solarium also playable, but it does seem a little bit early for that. Not quite enough mana to make use of the cards drawn.
Boar only playing 1 Giggling Inventor, I should point out here. I think Giggling Inventors, because they're getting hated out as much as they can be in this meta, I think they're slowly but surely being cut very slightly from some decks where they're not non-essential. You're giggling, Dan.
I'm just waiting for the Lorinda. You know what? Giggling Inventor's not as good as everyone thinks it is, Ran.
It's a good card. The fact it's having to be hated out means it's a good card, simple as that. But it is being hated out, and because of that, it is starting to fall back in numbers in a lot of decks. Next turn is pretty ridiculous for Boar. Obviously, Corridor Creeper is the answer to the Dreadlord potential issue. But with the 4/4 Keleseth hanging around, they're going to have to deal with that to make sure that the Keleseth can't bump into a Corridor Creeper and then get Dreadlorded away, most likely. Somebody said something immensely funny in the UK chat as well, I think. Because Boar's actually laughing.
Wow.
Exactly.
Despicable Dreadlord is not a card that we see too often in Zoo. Do you think it's coming more and more into fashion as time goes on?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good card in Zoo, personally. I think it depends on the popularity of Paladin.
Yep.
In this tournament, you have a pretty good chance of running into Paladin. It seems to be left up a lot. And because it's not particularly exciting deck, it's not a bad deck, it's just very one-dimensional. A lot of these teams feel that they would rather play complicated decks because there's 4 of them, gives them more of a chance to outplay their opponents. But Paladin, you have to bring a Paladin deck. I know we've seen 1 or 2 others. There's quite a bit of OTK Paladin and on ladder right now. But in general, this is just the best Paladin deck by too much.
Gotta say, that's such an awkward draw there for Taiwan. I mean, they're happy to play 2 3-mana 3/4s for 4 mana, but they wish they had 1 more mana that turn so they could instead make them 5/6s.
I mean, they played 2 0 mana 3/3s. How much mana do they want?
Yeah, true.
Can't have everything.
Tell that to Druid.
Yeah. Good point. Well made.
Possibilities.
Ball control, which is level up, gave everything +3/+3 right now. But that's also not the situation we're in.
I wish I was good at Hearthstone.
Yeah, there's wishing and then there's like, oh dear. Well, this Fungalmancer is going to be a big deal because it means that the Corridor Creepers basically get the stats that I was talking about from the level up, going to survive these trades.
They are much nicer trades than having to trade 3/3 Silverhand recruits into those Cyanide Chain Gangs, and it looks like the United Kingdom have managed to significantly pull ahead this turn. Despicable Dreadlord still does some serious work if drawn now.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't trade in here. I know they need it to be a top deck, but I'm surprised they didn't just get rid of this. But you're not trading in 1/1s, you're trading in 3/3s is the problem because the level up next turn.
But Shaxi find themselves again wishing they had 1 more mana so they could go Solarium into Despicable Dreadlord. They seem to have been in this weird position now for several turns where the play they've made has been okay, but with 1 more mana, it would have been stellar.
I like the look on Boar's face here. He knows the risk he took there. It was protecting this level up. And I think we're seeing more and more from the very best players. It's what's setting them apart from the strong players, the good players, the top 500 players. Is this ability to really realise that if they haven't got it, we just win with this play. If they have got it, well, we can find a way to deal with it, so it's okay. And just taking chances at the right times. He knows that this could just go wrong. You can see from his face that where's the Dreadlord up? What do we do if it comes?
Soul Infusion, that's not a Dreadlord, that's probably pretty good. That's just a 3-mana 6/6, not even popping any Divine Shields. That's pretty good for us too.
And now the relief on his face is the Gambit pays off, and now he's just going to be able to insert all of this damage into his opponent's face.
18 damage going to the face right now. That is too much for Taiwan to keep up with. 7 health remaining. They're going to need a very good draw to win this game, and that's not it.
Yeah, the damage has been inserted. They're going to need to draw a Malfurion lookalike and then gain 27 armor, gain 9 mana and draw 12 cards. And that still might not be enough. Unless you draw Druid cards. But Vine Cleaver's going to get the job done nearly. Can I add? I can't add, it's 1 off, right?
It is 1 off. 1 damage.
But
now
whoop, big whoop.
The Zoo can't tap. Well, I guess they can tap. They can go Fungal Enchanter, then tap, and then yay, you've got 2 mana left. Good luck.
Tap. I don't think they can tap very well.
Well, they'll have to Fungal first, then tap, and then they've got 2 mana left.
Ah, I see what you mean. That's what you just said, isn't it?
It is what I just said, yeah.
I should listen to you more.
Sometimes. Can come in handy.
Boar's devastated by the fact this game's going to go on 1 more turn. No, it's not. Don't worry.
Oh,
he's very happy today, is Boar.
He is. Look at that. Big thumbs up from Boar Control as the United Kingdom take the first game this series. And, I mean, I'd call that an unfavourable matchup for the UK as well, given that there are Despicable Dreadlords in the Zoolock.
Yeah, it's definitely a close one. The Dreadlord seems to be the be-all and end-all of that matchup. But you can see they could have killed off the Dreadlord if it was played and restarted the game, basically. So I think Taiwan were going to need 2 Dreadlords for that to really go wrong. The UK probably factored that in because they just rebuild the board so quickly when getting rid of the first.
Next up, though, it is going to be, as you said before, Control Priest versus Tempo Shadowwalk Shaman for Toast Monster, commonly referred to as Good Shaman. I'm still really not convinced about how good this Shaman is. And
I know, Dan, I know.
And I want to clarify here. I really like the deck. I enjoy playing it. I enjoy playing against it. I think it's interesting. I think it's great that we see cards like Thrall come back in. I've wanted to see that for quite some time. I'm just not convinced that it's quite powerful enough to compete with the big boys.
It's certainly not consistent.
Okay.
If you don't draw the right cards, if you don't draw your unstable evolutions or whatever, and you get it at the wrong time, things can go wrong. Obviously, there's some anti-synergies. You play your Shudderwock after you play Thrall, and it just turns into an 8/8 and shuts itself down, like Yogg style. There are some things in the deck that aren't consistent. But I think one thing we've had throughout Hearthstone history is arguments over how good inconsistent decks are. I mean, at one point, believe it or not, at some point, Patron was inconsistent. And people were like, is it good? You know, Topsy Priest, another deck that looked fantastic, but again, maybe a bit too inconsistent.
Another thing I'd like to say about the Good Shaman is that I don't think it's going to be very good against Control Priest, because Psychic Scream will hurt that deck so badly. You build up a big board with unstable evolutions, it gets screamed away. And one thing that the Tempo Shaman tends to do is run out of cards.
Yeah, the Death Knights are absolutely crucial in this, especially Hagatha.
Right.
Get yourself some reload with Hagatha early on, and just the good thing with the deck, you can sort of force them to Psychic Scream non-optimal boards. Like you play Unstable Evolution on just 2 Sound Knight Chain Gang dudes,
Yep.
and suddenly you've got a board that probably demands Psychic Scream.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if you do 2 or 3 of each evolves. Get rid of that, then drop your Hagatha, and then start again, and suddenly you can really put the priest under pressure. You can heal enough to get out of sight.
So it's about resource management, it's about the hero cards, Hagatha being the big one, playing around Duskbreaker, playing around those Psychic Screams. I think this is going to be difficult for Toast Monster on the Shaman here.
Interesting to see how they handle their Kalimos should they draw it as well. Healing for 12 after you've been Alex Strazed is also a big deal.
Hang on. What are those bed sheets, Toast Monster?
I don't know.
That doesn't look very patriotic.
I mean, it's, showing support for other teams in the tournament. But you're right. That's not the most patriotic. Unless he's
Should probably note the irony to the situation here.
a little bit awkward. Why, Toast Monster? Why? I mean, it's better than a bath of toast, right? It's probably more comfortable. Bath full of toast does not sound like A, it's comfortable, and B, gets you very clean.
Now, Toast Monster actually kept Thrall and Giggling Inventor here. What do you make of that?
I mean, that's a fantastic combination of cards. It's very hard for the priest to remove the Giggling Inventor on turn 5 or turn 4 if they want to go that route. And then Thrall the turn after just gives you a 6 mana card, which is usually one of the best numbers. And obviously, your Annoyatrons evolve a little bit as well. So your Thrall instantly just gives you a much, much better board state. Picking up the Chain Gang may mess things around. This Kalimos will sit in hand forever, by the way.
Okay.
I believe they'll want to use that after Alex Strazed is played for 12 points of healing, and just say to the priest, what are you going to do? How are you going to kill us?
The doctor is in.
There aren't actually that many elementals in this deck, are there? There's Fireflies, there's Electra, there's Tar Creeper.
That's about it usually.
Yep.
But it's okay, because normally you drop your Firefly and then you just keep the second part. But you do have to manage it. It is one thing that's wrong with Kalimos in this deck, and we've seen some people running other cards instead at the moment. My brain just shut down there for a second. Is sometimes you set up the Kalimos turn and your opponent does something that says Kalimos is too slow, and then you've wasted an elemental, and that can lead to some difficulty.
But then the flip side is you get the ideal scenario where you play Kalimos on turn 8, and then you can play Shudderwock on turn 9, and because Kalimos was played the turn prior, then you get Kalimos effect again from Shudderwock. That can be pretty insane.
Yeah, very little health gain though otherwise in this. And like you say, you can sometimes get that Shudderwock double Kalimos, although it is a random effect. You don't get the same.
Yeah.
But it's usually good to just get a Kalimos effect. Can be a bit of a pain when it fills your board up with Potato Men.
Toast Monster looks like he's having to consider here whether or not he wants to Lightning Bolt this 3/4, which isn't ideal. I guess he was hoping for a spell damage totem to make that slightly easier, because then they could coin into Sour Knight and then just play Thrall on curve.
Yeah, it's not fun for them. This Sour Knight definitely is going to get eaten up by this medic if they're not careful. And this is what they were scared of as well, this potential Power Word Shield here.
So it was definitely right to consider playing that Lightning Bolt that turn, because, again, they could still go coin Sour Knight into Thrall after.
Yeah, I'd have liked to have seen it. Your Lightning Bolts They're weird in this deck. They're not that great, but you know you only have the 2. You have to use them very sparingly. And now, by not making that decision, they have left themselves in a bit of a pickle.
They could still go coin giggling and then Thrall the turn after. They're giving Roger some draws, but then they do get the 7 mana card from Thrall. They're going to go with that. Wow.
Yeah.
Just try and get the earliest, most aggressive Thrall possible. They've lost the board. They need to get it back somehow.
Not sure what Toast is upset about there. Nothing ridiculous seemed to happen. Maybe he's just covering his eyes because he doesn't want there to be a Dustbreaker. And if that's what he wanted, he's going to be disappointed. However, it still sets up a 1 mana Corridor Creeper.
Yeah.
It's pretty tasty into a Chain Gang.
But if that was a 0 mana Corridor Creeper, then Thrall could still be played this turn. However, this is just not good for Toast Monster now, is it? Like you said, Corridor Creeper into Sour Knight is okay, except the 3/3s on the board, the 3/2 and the 3/3 on the board, just eat up the Sour Knights.
Well, he Lightning Bolt's one of the most likely. So he'll Lightning Bolt the 3/3, play a 0 mana Corridor, drop down a Sour Knight to challenge the 3/2.
You're right, that's much better.
Which seems okay. But of course, they're only 2 turns from Psychic Scream. And they've got enough follow-up for later. Electra's a pretty big deal. Especially if you do get the Hagatha going. Then you can do some disgusting things with Electra.
I was going to ask, actually, what is the ideal target for Electra, do you think?
Yeah. Normally just a Lightning Bolt for 6 points for lethal against a lot of decks.
Sure.
But it's pretty good with Lightning Storm against, say, Token Druid.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes you just get like double healing range from Hagatha when you're on 6 health and just win the game.
Electra into fully upgraded Shaman Spellstone. It's probably pretty good.
Yeah, it's probably. I've never seen it, but that sounds really ridiculous.
Multiple duplicates of whichever minion is targeted.
I followed the flavor text on Electra sometimes and used it on the coin.
Oh.
The flavor text is like.
What's it say?
It's something like the coin you used. You know, you made me double the coin. I can't remember exactly. It's much more funny than I could ever come up with. But basically, she's just saying you used me on the coin. What?
So yeah, basically, don't go prep coin or prep backstab or Electra coin. Don't do those things.
Electra coin's okay.
I guess it can be.
It's actually okay. An Electra coin into, not necessarily on turn 3, but Electra coin into MC Tech or something like that can be a play.
Okay.
If say turn 4 or 5.
Then is it not just better to play the MC Tech and play Electra later?
Then you haven't got an Electra on the board.
Okay. Okay, sure. Yeah, against more aggressive decks, I see that. Okay, well now Corridor Creeper Thrall is an option. So is Corridor Creeper Fungal Mancer, actually. Maybe that's better.
It might be better than the Fungal Mancer.